It was Christmas Eve on Maple Street, and the neighborhood was filled with the warm glow of twinkling lights and the joyful sounds of families coming together to celebrate. The McAllister family, John, Sarah, and their 10-year-old son, Timmy, were no exception. Their large, old-fashioned house was adorned with decorations, and the smell of freshly baked cookies wafted through the air. As the evening approached, the McAllisters were getting ready for their annual Christmas Eve party. Friends and family were expected to arrive soon, and the house was filled with laughter and anticipation. Timmy was especially excited, not just for the party, but also because his parents had promised to let him stay up late to watch his favorite Christmas movie, Home Alone. The night was proceeding as planned when suddenly a fierce winter storm began to rage outside. The wind howled through the trees, and snow fell in thick, heavy flakes. The McAllisters received a phone call from their cousin, who was supposed to arrive with their friends, letting them know that the roads were impassable and they couldn't make it to the party. Disappointed but understanding, the McAllisters decided to carry on with their celebration. With no guests to entertain, the McAllisters settled in for a cozy evening by the fireplace. Timmy's parents decided to let him watch Home Alone early, since there was no need to worry about bedtime. As the movie played on the television, the wind outside grew stronger, and the house creaked in response to the gusts of wind. As Timmy watched the movie, he began to feel uneasy. The eerie sounds of the storm and the shadows cast by the flickering fire made the house feel unfamiliar and intimidating. His parents assured him that everything was fine and that they were right there with him. Around midnight, Timmy's parents decided it was time for bed. They tucked him in and left a nightlight on in his room. Timmy, however, couldn't shake his unease. The movie he had just watched had ignited his imagination, and every creak of the house seemed to echo with the presence of burglars. Unable to sleep, Timmy decided to investigate. He crept down the darkened hallway, his footsteps barely making a sound on the old wooden floors. He was determined to prove to himself that there was nothing to fear. As Timmy reached the end of the hallway and peered into the living room, he froze in terror. A figure stood in the shadows, partially obscured by the large Christmas tree. It was a man, and he was holding a crowbar. Timmy's heart pounded in his chest as he realized that the nightmare of Home Alone had become a horrifying reality. The intruder had managed to break into the McAllister home during the storm, thinking it was empty due to the canceled party. He had no idea that Timmy was still awake and lurking in the hallway. Summoning every ounce of courage, Timmy slowly backed away from the living room. Making his way to the phone in the kitchen, his trembling hands dialed 911 as quietly as possible, tears streaming down his face. He whispered his address and the situation to the dispatcher, praying for help to arrive in time. The intruder, meanwhile, had moved closer to Timmy's hiding spot. He was now in the hallway, inches away from the young boy. Timmy could hear the man's heavy breathing and the ominous sound of the crowbar scraping against the floor. Just as the intruder was about to round the corner and discover Timmy, the distant wail of sirens grew louder. The police were approaching. Panicked, the intruder fled through a window, leaving behind a trail of footprints in the snow. The police arrived moments later, but the intruder had vanished into the stormy night. They comforted Timmy and assured him that he was safe. Timmy's parents, awakened by the commotion, rushed downstairs and embraced their son, tears of relief in their eyes. In the aftermath, the McAllisters learned that the intruder had been a career criminal with a history of break-ins. Timmy's quick thinking and courage had saved his family from a terrifying ordeal. As the storm outside continued to rage, the McAllisters held each other close, grateful to be together on that fateful Christmas Eve. They would never forget the night when their home became the setting for a real-life horror story. one that had a happy ending thanks to the bravery of a young boy. Deep within the dense, ancient woods of Willowdale, a forgotten village lay shrouded in mystery. For centuries, it had been hidden from the world, its existence known only to a few locals who dared not speak of it. The villagers had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only empty houses, overgrown paths, and a lingering sense of dread. One autumn afternoon, Sarah, an adventurous photographer, stumbled upon a tattered map in the attic of her great-grandfather's house. The map hinted at the existence of the lost village, and Sarah was determined to uncover its secrets. Armed with her camera and a sense of curiosity, Sarah set out to find the village. She hiked deep into the woods, guided by the faded map and the stories of her ancestors. As she ventured further, the forest grew denser, and the air grew thick with an eerie silence. After hours of wandering, she stumbled upon the overgrown entrance to the village. Sarah's heart raced as she stepped into the eerie realm of Willowdale's forgotten past. The houses were crumbling, the cobblestone streets were choked with weeds, and an unsettling mist hung in the air. As Sarah explored the abandoned village, she felt a strange presence watching her every move. Shadows flitted at the edges of her vision, and she heard faint whispers carried on the wind. Unease settled in, but her determination to uncover the truth pushed her forward. Inside one of the dilapidated houses, Sarah discovered an old journal, its pages filled with cryptic symbols and eerie drawings. It belonged to a villager named Isabel, the last person to leave a record of life in the village. Isabel's entries spoke of a malevolent force that had plagued the village, driving its inhabitants away. As dusk fell over the village, Sarah began to notice strange occurrences. Objects moved on their own, and ghostly figures drifted through the abandoned streets. The village seemed to come alive with a dark, vengeful energy. Sarah realized that she had unwittingly awakened the curse that had lain dormant for centuries. The malevolent force, angered by her intrusion, sought retribution for disturbing the village's long-held secrets. Sarah's heart pounded as she fled through the labyrinthine streets of the cursed village, pursued by shadowy apparitions and echoing cries of anger. The once familiar path became a nightmarish maze, and she struggled to find her way out. Using the knowledge from Isabel's journal, Sarah attempted a ritual to appease the vengeful spirits. She lit candles, recited incantations, and offered an apology for disturbing their rest. The village seemed to pause, and the malevolent presence wavered. With one final sprint, Sarah broke free from the cursed village's grasp, collapsing at its edge, gasping for breath. The village faded into the darkness behind her, and the forest's eerie silence returned. Sarah returned to her great-grandfather's house, haunted by the experience. She knew the village's secrets were meant to remain buried, but she couldn't forget the faces of the lost villagers and the malevolent force that still lingered. She vowed to protect the knowledge she had uncovered, hoping to prevent others from stumbling upon the curse of the forgotten village. It would remain a secret, hidden in the depths of Willowdale's ancient woods, waiting for the next unwitting soul to unlock its dark mysteries. The Blackwood Manor had stood empty for decades, its looming presence casting a sinister shadow over the small, quiet town of Willowbrook. As the autumn leaves fell, the Jenkins family moved into the old, decrepit mansion, unaware of the chilling history that came with it. John Jenkins, a historian, had purchased the manor with the intention of restoring it to its former glory. He, along with his wife Emily and their 2 children, Mia and Ethan, were excited about their new beginning. Little did they know, their dream house would soon become a nightmare. Strange things began to happen almost immediately after they settled in. At night, the family could hear faint whispers and eerie footsteps echoing through the empty hallways. Emily swore she saw shadows moving when no one was there, and Maya claimed her toys would move on their own. One particularly cold night, John was awakened by the sound of footsteps coming from the attic. Armed with a flashlight, he climbed the creaky stairs, only to find an empty attic. He brushed it off as stress from the move, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. As John delved deeper into the history of Blackwood Manor, he discovered its grim past. It had once been owned by the notorious Blackwood family, who were rumored to have dabbled in the occult. Legend had it that they had summoned dark spirits that haunted the manor, leading to their mysterious disappearance. John's research revealed that every previous owner of the manor had met a tragic end or had fled in terror. He knew he had to confront the malevolent force that dwelled within if he wanted to protect his family. John invited a team of paranormal investigators to Blackwood Manor, hoping to uncover the source of the haunting. Armed with cameras, amphimeters, and other ghost hunting equipment, they set out to explore the mansion's dark secrets. During their investigation, the team captured chilling EVP, recordings of ghostly whispers and unsettling laughter. The temperature in certain rooms dropped dramatically, and they witnessed objects moving on their own. It was clear that the Blackwood Manor was indeed haunted. Determined to rid their home of the malevolent spirits, the Jenkins family, along with the paranormal investigators, performed a cleansing ritual in the very room where the Blackwood family had once practiced their dark rituals. As they chanted incantations and burned sage, the air grew thick with tension. Suddenly, the room filled with a blinding light, and the spirits of the Blackwood family materialized before them, their faces contorted in anguish. With a deafening scream, the spirits were banished from the manor, their tormented souls finally finding peace. With the spirits gone, the Jenkins family felt an overwhelming sense of relief. Blackwood Manor was no longer a place of darkness and fear. They had faced their fears head-on and emerged victorious. Over time, the old mansion began to transform. The eerie atmosphere dissipated, and it was no longer haunted by the ghosts of its past. The Jenkins family had not only saved their home, but had also put to rest the restless souls of the Blackwood family. As the seasons changed, Blackwood Manor became a symbol of resilience and hope, a place where a family had overcome the darkest of forces to find their happily ever after.